background noise? Did you hear? I mean, I'm on the Hudson, and there's helicopters and all kinds of stuff happening outside. So
No. I don't hear anything.
Okay, good. That's good. I just wanted to check. I hear it. So as long as you don't, good.
It's all good. Well, we had tried to do this last week, and then there were some miscommunications along the way. So Art was able to join us toward the end of our blab last week, but it was all about who's better at selling, men or women. And so today we're going to continue that conversation. I have had some feedback on my post about it, and I thought I would share some of that feedback, and that way we could get some comments. So I'm actually going to be the moderator, and you two will get to be debating the topic until it's time for you to go, Art. So
I might want to bow out right now if I have to debate with Samantha. I don't know if I can handle that.
I'm actually not a good debater at all. I'm good at putting obstacles in Anna's way when she asks me to do role play. I'm great at saying, no, I don't want that product. No, not interested. No. And I was like, okay, where's the script?
Funny.
Sorry.
How funny. Okay. Well, we will hold up our end of the conversation for you, Anna.
Wonderful. So how many of you have heard of Ben Gay III? Are you familiar with Ben Gay, Art?
Only when I was more athletic, I would put it on those sore muscles. That's all I can remember. That's my only recollection of Ben Gay and Ben-Hur.
Ben-Hur. Well, we're not going to talk about Ben-Hur today. It is Ben Gay. Ben Gay has written books about closing. He actually has 2 or 3 books called The Closer. It's a series. And he was a contemporary of Zig Ziglar, actually.
Mm-hmm.
So he was very prominent in the field of vacation ownership.
Okay.
Kind of a very competitive field, very actually a pretty pressured field. If Melanie Lane were joining us today, which she is actually back in that field working, if Melanie was with us, she learned a lot from reading his books, and because he was very focused on timeshare sales. And what he said was that the skill set is the same, regardless of whether it's a man or a woman. But so he feels that gender doesn't matter. What he did say, though, was that if he had his skill set in a beautiful woman's body, he would be unstoppable. Oh, yes.
He's very sexist from somewhere in the middle of the last century if he's a contemporary of Zig Ziglar. So, but I must admit, one of my early sales managers was a woman. And we went on a sales call one day, and we ended up getting the business. It was a closing call. And she sensed right away that I had brought her into the meeting because she was young and beautiful and red hair, just incredibly powerful personality.
Okay, we get the point. Yeah,
I'm sorry. As we left,
not as good looking as Sam.
As we walked to our cars, she said, I got the distinct impression that you brought me along on this call just because I'm a woman. And I laughed, and we laughed about it, but that was true. And I think so. Ben Gay was channeling the same idea that I did on that big closing call that I went on with my sales manager, who is still gorgeous like Sam today. Yeah.
But that's interesting. Okay.
So, right, but that was 25 years ago, and I think things have changed. We have all changed since then, and so my perspective has changed since then. So that was then, and this is now, and I think the world is different, and I think the process is different, and thus I have an opinion that I'm happy to share when we get to that part of the conversation.
So, what do you think, Sam?
Can I tell you a story? Well, I'm going to tell you a story about when I was doing the social media summit. We were looking for some volunteers, and then loads of people came forward and wanted to volunteer. And then one other guy, a new guy, kind of came at the last minute, and he was Brazilian. And he asked, could he volunteer? And the others went, no, we have enough. And I went, and I looked at his picture, and I said, Oh, we need him. So his name is Sam, right? And he is just, he was the best volunteer on the day. Now, I was going by his looks, right? But also his skills. But I have to say, it was no harm at all. This good-looking guy, really helpful, looked after all the ladies. And do you know what? He's now training with me. And now he comes to my women's events and he helps me there. And they all love him. So I don't know. I don't know. What do you think of that? I mean, he was the best volunteer on the day. Like,
I've got a story for you. So yesterday, from where I'm sitting, I can see the Statue of Liberty out the window. And Terminal A is just a few clicks down the promenade. And Terminal A is a place that's near the Staten Island Ferry and other things. And my daughter and I stopped for a little petit déjeuner, a little breakfast, a little lunch. And as we were waiting for our waiter, it was Rodrigo. And Rodrigo would go up to a table, and he would only use his accent in the most appropriate moment when he was pumping up the things on the menu. And I have to tell you that he served us very well. And the table to our left and the table to our right, outside, kind of fun in the sun kind of bistro. They ordered so much, and I think they ordered it because he was a handsome, young Latin man with a great accent and a great manner. And, those things matter. I mean, if that was more know, like, and trust. It was more than that. It was something else. But I submit that when it's lunch and your intention is to have great food but have great atmosphere, that works. But when it's me in my office and you're trying to separate me from $10,000 in an investment, it's a whole different calculus. And accent, good looks, tall, red hair, and beautiful. It doesn't matter so much. What I really want is somebody that's going to help me up. It's going to optimize my spend and maximize my return on investment. So I think it depends on what you're selling. And if I'm a florist and I'm selling roses on Valentine's Day, I might want to channel my best Rodrigo, right? Because but if I'm on if I'm selling something that really costs money and I have to ponder my decision and I have to contemplate, is this $10,000 spend going to get me $20,000 in value? And am I going to get a return on my investment? Those kind of decisions, I think, are made with more. But because I told Anna I only have 15 minutes and I wanted to get my 2 cents in on this. And from a man's perspective, I'm gonna give you some statistics because I'm very pragmatic and like a physician or like somebody in the medical profession, I like to be fact-based, right? Mm-hmm. And so the facts are that in the battle of the sexes, and let me first summarize it. I think that everything we do, whether it's selling or managing people or consulting with people, it's about leadership. I believe everything that we do, sales, consulting, managing, it's leadership.
Mm-hmm. I agree.
And in overall leadership effectiveness, here are the numbers. Men in effectiveness are most effective. 51.8% of men are most effective between the age of 25 to 30. 54.4% of women are more effective than men after the age of 40. That's an interesting statistic, something to consider. And there is there's a difference in the competencies of women, and I think we touched on this the last time we were on. And I wasn't quoting facts as much as I was saying the Dalai Lama says that if women ruled the world, we wouldn't be in the mess that we're in today. And other people like the Dalai Lama have stated that over and over again because of temperament and the maternal instinct to nurture as opposed to simply fix things that are broken. The idea, and this is an article that I'm just calling up, and I can actually give you the link and put it in the stream. It's from Business Insider, and it essentially says that women make up more than half of the workforce. Mm-hmm. And in overall leadership effectiveness, I'm going to state that statistic I just used. Men are score 51.8, women score 54.5. Flat out, women are better executives than men. Now, we know all about the glass ceiling and men making more money than women. But if the statistics say that women are better leaders, I submit that those skills make women better sellers of anything than men. And it goes on to say, there's another, I'm going to drop this in the stream just so you can reference it. It's a little dated. It's 2 years old now, but I think the numbers, if anything, will get better for women because more women are entering college and graduating than college than men today, mm-hmm. right? So those numbers are not going to go down. Those numbers are going to, there it is. And I think the link kind of speaks for itself. It simply says, Business Insider, women are better leaders. And so that link is in the stream now. And
Thank you.
And the next piece of this that I really I did a, let's see, here it is. This is, if my computer would just cooperate, bear with me.
Maybe it was made by a man. I'm just teasing. No. It was probably made by some kid that dropped out of high school.
So as I'm trying to, I think I've got 3 of these things opening now at the same time. I'm so impatient. So this one is produced by Sales for Life, which you'll find on LinkedIn and other platforms. Predominantly, they're pretty prolific on LinkedIn, writing content about sales. And they created an infographic that if it ever opens on my very slow computer, here we go. And I'll drop this in the stream as well. And this is a more current, and I'm looking for the date. And this talks about, and mind you, I'm an enterprise guy, right? So when I think of anything, I'm thinking of what happens in the enterprise. And that's the Forbes 2000, the Fortune 500 kind of companies. But I submit that I don't care if I'm selling Amway or if I'm selling for IBM. Sales is sales. In the context of this survey, it's looking at statistics of the Forbes 2000 kind of companies. And here's what it says. It says, gender diverse sales teams grow companies. So when you have men and women together, gender diversity is a key element of success in sales. Sales leaders who prioritize gender equality and diversity in their sales force are building higher performing teams that outpace their dated competitors. And that was me in the last century when I took my beautiful sales manager to a sales call to win the business, right? I was selling on know, like, and trust in that moment. I wasn't selling on the authority and the power that we bring. And I think here's some statistics that you might find interesting. And let me just put this in the stream as well, because I think this one you'll really want to have a look at. And so Sales for Life, the business case for hiring more women in sales. And when you go to the infographic, I'm sorry, Sam or Anna, you were going to ask a question or say something.
from the research that you've done, would you say that's because the two genders bring complementary strengths to help each other out, or there's more building of the like, know, and trust factor? What do you think?
I think that in general, there's scientific proof now that that spumoni, the flavor of chocolate, strawberry, and vanilla,
Yes.
is more powerful in business than just vanilla. So when you have one flavor, when you have no diversity in the business, whether it's men and women, but no diversity at all, you are not as creative, innovative, or resilient. And so this is taking a broad brush on diversity and simply saying that when you have women and men on balance, and Mr. Benoff, who's the founder of Salesforce.com, right? Ginormous company out of Silicon Valley that a lot of sales teams use around the world. He said if he had to start his business again today, he would begin with a balance of 50% men and 50% women, because that balance in diversity, that balance in thinking, that balance in temperament is where ideas come from, and where creative ideas come from, and the innovative ideas come from. But this is mind blowing. Here's, according to the Harvard Business Review survey of 7,280 leaders, women are more effective across the board according to their peers, direct reports, and managers. That's amazing, right? Because we wouldn't think that because of the pay discrepancy, and this debate is, are men, who's better, men or women? The data says that women are better executives, they're better leaders, and if leadership is central to being a good salesperson, then they, in fact, should be better sellers. This says, and I'll just read, go ahead.
But is leadership important for sales?
Absolutely.
Oh, yeah.
Absolutely.
Oh, yeah.
Because you have to, leadership is about influencing people. And influencing people is what we're doing in sales. We're influencing them to make the best decision for them and us. So it's an agreed upon result. But we have to lead, and that's where a lot of people kind of fall off the wagon, is they forget that they're in a leadership position when they're selling to people. Leadership not being manipulation, not being arm twisting, but rather directing the conversation so an intelligent buying decision can be made.
That's, I second that, because, and the opportunity is owning your authority so you can stand up as a leader, because most people don't think that they don't have the gravitas, they don't have the power, they don't have the knowledge, they don't want to lead because they don't feel empowered to lead. And you know, there's a Shakespearean quote from the 12th Night that I like to use in this context, because Shakespeare said, "Be not afraid of greatness. Some are born great, some achieve greatness, and some have greatness thrust upon them." So, and this is sales. You're either born and you have the charisma to be just an amazing salesperson. Some achieve greatness because you do the work to become a great leader, and some have greatness thrust upon them. You're a salesperson, and you get thrust into the role of sales manager. We have to rise on the tides that are presented to us, and when we don't think that we're worthy of doing that, that's when we fail. It's that notion of worthiness that makes all the difference. Because there's a statistic, and I think I've got it here. It says that on a bell curve, only a small percent are truly born to be leaders. Many have no aptitude at all and no stomach for leadership. That means if you have no stomach for leadership and you're not going to do the work and don't have the aptitude to lead, then you're not going to be a good salesperson. So it says on that bell curve that, you know, as a hiring executive, that's what you're looking for when you're hiring salespeople, right? Do you have confidence? Are you willing to, if I give you the training, will you step into authority and lead with the training that I've given you, right? And so, there's a lot on that, but I don't want to dominate the conversation with all this statistics and data that I like to share.
Can I tell another story?
Please do.
Last week, I had a women's event, and I was really, really sick the night before, and I had to go to A&E, and all I kept thinking was, oh my God, I have the women's event. I'm not going to be able to go.
Can you see me?
And then, so I delegated to the no, we can't. We can see the river.
Yeah, I kind of turned into a little spot. I'm sorry.
There you go.
Yeah, no, we
finish the story.
Yeah. So
okay.
I was all worried about the event the next day, and so I said, look, such and such, can you do this? And all you have to do is this, and all you have to do. And the amount of messages I got panicking about the next day. I actually came home at 2:30 in the morning. I got up at 7, and I went and I was there. I was able to do the event, but it made me realize that people do need a leader. They do need someone there to do all the things. Like, I thought they'd be able to do it without me, but I mean, we did it. It was brilliant, but it just opened my eyes to how important it is that there is someone that is leading the way. It's like watching Game of Thrones, you see Game of Thrones, and then they're all looking around, lost looking, and then everyone's looking at Jon Snow, and it's like, well, you're the leader, or the girl, the good-looking queen. What's her name? Daenerys. Everyone wants a leader.
So here's my parting words, because I've got to dash off. What we can do to become, and what we can come. Let me say it over. What we can do to become and build better leaders. The key is be more self-aware.
Yeah.
Right. And so here's the formula. Become a fair witness. And what that means is, to become a fair witness is that to be a fair witness means to report your experience as accurately and neutrally as possible. The more emotional attachment you have to something, the more challenging it is to be a fair witness of that thing. Most of us are very emotionally attached to ourselves and our own success. Be a fair witness. Watch your mission. Watch your selling from the balcony, right? Don't be so engaged in your selling process, but watch your selling as if you have an out-of-body experience and you're looking down at yourself, and be a fair witness to how you're performing in that effort. Number 2, invite feedback. Inviting feedback is simply just doing that. I won't elaborate on that. That's self-explanatory. Invite feedback. Don't think I have all the answers. Seek a coach, seek a mentor, ask your cohort of trusted friends to give you feedback on, if they take them on a sales call and say, you know what, you were with me. What did you hear? What did you hear from me? What did you hear from them? How's it working? Invite feedback. This is number 3 is one that I have loved for a very long time once I finally gave into this idea. And it's listen. And it's understanding what listening is. Listening is simply not putting your ears on alert. Listening begins with asking thoughtful and insightful questions. If you don't know what question to ask, you're just listening to words. Right. You're just listening to noise, perhaps. When you ask the right question, then you're listening to the response from the person you're having the conversation with, and you're going to learn something that's in line with the question you asked. And that's what consulting and selling is all about. And so listening is foundational to the success as a manager, as a leader, as a parent, as a spouse, as a colleague, as a human being, right? And it's essential to self-awareness, and certainly essential to selling. And then 4, accept and even embrace vulnerability. Hard for most of us, right? We're trying so hard to stand on our authority that when somebody says be vulnerable, like, what? But think about the leaders that go into the war room, and you're the president of the United States, and you've got some of the brightest minds from the military and government and the private sector giving you information. And then the decision is yours. If you want to be the one with the biggest ego in the room, you just make that decision based on what you believe. But if you embrace and are humble and vulnerable, then you're listening to your advisors in a material way. And that is so, so important. And that's what collaborating to co-create solutions is all about. Being vulnerable. And there's this little thing here. What does it say? If I could just move my over there. More and more current business leaders are coming to the similar realization. We know we need to search for new structures and habits that cultivate and foster shared values and inspire a commitment to significance. That's the only way we can exert our leadership authority on our people. And if we think of the person that we're trying to bring a solution to, we're leading them. And they've invited us into their office or to meet over coffee because they're looking for leadership. Help me find the best possible solution. Help me accomplish more. Tell me what you've got that's going to help me be a better business owner. And then number 5, and this is the last thing, and then I'm going to retire to walk down the Hudson to my granddaughter and grandson's swimming lesson. Extend trust. Extending trust is old school leaders expected their trust to be earned by others. 21st century leaders extend their trust to inspire greater collaboration, commitment, and innovation among employees and other business partners. When you take this notion of leadership and you put it in the same framework as being a salesperson of something, a product, a service, a widget, a solution, and when you extend that, you enter the conversation extending the trust, not saying, like, I'm the boss of these ideas and just listen to me. Just wait a second, just listen. When you enter the conversation saying, I've got authority in the space that I do business in, and I've done this business for, and I've done the work to be the authority, but let's talk about you. Tell me about your business. And in doing so, you learn so much, and you might have to say, well, you know what? That really sounds like you've got a great business, and the work that I do, sure, I could help you, but you know what? You should call Anna Scheller, because Anna's got the mission critical experience to help a business just like yours that's greater than mine. And in doing that, I'm building a raving fan, because they say, wow, I would have bought something from that guy, but he introduced me to somebody that's even better than him in the space that I work in. And you can't accomplish that until you extend trust, because when you extend trust, you get it back.
Exactly.
And
so to give a real quick cap, although five points will be tough to recap quickly. One is to step into leadership as a salesperson. You need to become more self-aware. One is by becoming a fair witness. That is detaching yourself from the outcome to observe what's going on. Second is to invite feedback through a coach or mentor, someone who can be honest with you about what you're doing well and what needs improvement. Third is to listen, primarily through asking thoughtful questions of your client to build a collaborative relationship. Fourth is to accept and embrace vulnerability. And fifth is to extend trust to create an atmosphere of collaboration and partnership.
That's it. And if you feel like you don't have any of those things, that's what I call creative self-disruption. You look at yourself in the mirror and say, okay, where do I stack up on those 5 things? And what do I do, and how do I get better at those things? And in the process, you're disrupting your old self and becoming your new self and becoming more of who you really can be. And that's powerful, to step up and stand in the authority of having done that work. Then when you make a sales call, nobody's going to challenge. I mean, people might challenge you, but then you push back and say, no, I'm sorry. I've done the work. I know this. And you can make whatever decision you want to make. Here's what I believe. And they then have a choice to make. They can follow your counsel of authority, or they can go do another decision because you don't care, because you know there are people lined up to get what you've learned and done the work to have command of. So with that, guys, thank you.
Art, thank you. And I have a big meeting tomorrow, so yay. I'll keep all that in mind.
Yes, me too. Thank you.
Thanks, guys.
All right, have a great
I love you guys.
Love you too. Say hi to your grandkids.
Thank you.
I sure will. Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.
Now, do you want to stop the recording, Anna, or shall we? I think that